Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday so far. Wait, is it Monday? Let me check. It is Monday. I woke up 2 hours ago at 5 p.m., so my sleep schedule is amazing. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday so far. Hope you're having a good night. I'm on a different mic today. I'm using my old mic right now because my other one keeps tweaking out. If you've been watching my videos the last couple of days, like at some point in every video recently, it's been like making this really wild static sound out of nowhere. It's pretty short-lived. It doesn't last like the whole video or anything. It's only like 10 seconds of every video. But it sounds like Slender Man's behind me and he's about to eat me for not collecting the pages. So I was like, okay, I'll just use my old mic today. I'm trying a different interface tomorrow on that new mic, and I'm going to see if I can get it to work. But if I can't, whatever. I guess it's just broken. Anyway, today's story time. It's a good one. It's a crazy one. It's really interesting. I hope you all enjoy it. And yeah, man, let's get into it. So, as many of you may know, I make music besides my YouTube videos. I do music and I do YouTube. And I like making music. It's been a hobby of mine for many years. Even before I started releasing it, I was making it kind of in secret as a hobby. I've always really loved music. I come from a family of musicians. My whole family makes music. My brothers, my dad, my cousin, like everybody releases and makes music, right? So I've been really into it for a long time. And also, before I continue, if you haven't heard my music, you should check it out. May I recommend starting with Backseat, my newest song. Okay, no more self-promo. But yeah, I've been making music for a while, and many of you may know this already, but I have a studio spot. So I have my home where I make my videos, and then I have my studio where I make my music. And my studio is in a completely separate building, quite a few miles away from me, and I've had a few studios. I rented one back in like 2022 that was not the same one that I have now. The one I have now is a lot nicer than that one, and today that's what we're talking about. So this story time all takes place back in 2022. Now, like I just said, I was renting this other studio spot. It's not the one that I currently have. And this other studio spot that I had back in 2022 was not in the safest area. The building itself was very nice. The studio itself was very nice. But what surrounded the building, that's really where the problem lies. The whole area surrounding this building wasn't the best area. It just had a lot of crime, a lot of not so good things happening. And it just wasn't the nicest area. I remember like every night, if it was late, I would have to like wait until my ride would pull up, and then I'd get in the car. I couldn't like wait outside, because if you waited outside the building, you ran the risk of like someone walking by and fucking robbing you. Like I literally had friends that happened to. So yeah, not the nicest area, but unfortunately I'd already started the lease at this place, so I kind of had to see it through. So this all starts off as a normal night back in 2022. I'm hanging out in my studio, working on some music like I would typically do. And the way that my studio schedule works is I would usually go at night. So every night at like 9, 10 p.m., I'd go to the studio and I'd be there till about 4 in the morning. So yeah, very late. And I think it was about 2 a.m. So it was like 2 a.m., 2022. I'm in my studio making some music. I just finished recording a song. I was currently mixing it. You know, things were going good. I was locked in. So I'm mixing this song, right? And I get about 15 minutes in, and I'm doing my thing, and I realize, damn, I haven't eaten dinner yet. So I'm pretty hungry. So I thought, okay, let me take a quick 5-minute breather. Let me take a break from mixing. Let me open up DoorDash, look for some food, order some food to the studio, and eat something. So I open up DoorDash. I scroll around. There's really nothing open except Taco Bell and some other restaurants. So I ordered Taco Bell. And the Taco Bell itself was pretty close to my studio, so it was estimated to be there in like 10 minutes. So after I ordered it, I went back to mixing, and like 10 minutes later, the Taco Bell was pulling up. So I went to the front door of the studio building, and this is where it really begins. So the area that I was in, delivery drivers used to get lost in it all the time. Like people would have trouble finding my building and stuff. So I'm on my phone, like texting this DoorDash driver at the front door of my studio building while he's lost trying to find my building. And while I'm doing that, I look out to the parking lot, right? Like through the window, trying to see this guy's car. And I see something else, something I did not expect. I see a man running down the parking lot of my studio to the front door of the entrance of the building. And I see 5 other men chasing him. And he has a pretty good lead on them. They're probably about, I don't know, over 20 feet behind him. Like, you know, he's got a good lead. But he will not have that lead for long if he doesn't get somewhere safe where they can't get him. And he's running right towards the entrance to my studio building, and he's screaming. He's yelling. I keep hearing him say something. I don't know if it was help or what, but he was yelling. And as he's getting closer and closer to the entrance of my studio building, I'm met with a choice, because the entrance to my studio building, it was locked by a key fob. You couldn't unlock that door without having a key fob or having someone on the other side, such as myself, to open it for them. So I had a choice here. I either let this guy run up to the door and realize it's locked and potentially have him lose that lead he has on those guys chasing him, and then who knows what will happen? Maybe they'll beat him up or they'll rob him or whatever, right? Like, who knows? Or I open the door for him, I let this random man into my studio building, and I close the door and lock those other guys out, and I essentially shelter this guy. You know, I keep him safe, make sure he's not, at risk of getting hurt by these random dudes chasing him. So me being me, I picked option 2. It felt like the right thing to do. This guy was running, people were chasing him, it seemed like he was in danger. Of course I'm going to open the door for him. So I quickly swing open the door to the studio building. He runs in, I slam the door behind him because those guys, even though he had a lead on them, they were not far behind. I slam the door, and after he comes in and the door is closed, those other guys approach the door and they're slamming on it, they're banging it. I heard one of them yell, open the fucking door, open the fucking door. They're saying all sorts of shit, right? And I turn and I look at this dude, the one that I just let in, and I quickly realize he's pretty hurt. He's got a nosebleed, his eye is looking bruised, like his side of his face is bruised, like by his eye. He looks pretty banged up, right? And he looks scared. And I was like, yo, dude, what the fuck happened, man? Like, what's going on? He's like, bro, thank you. Thank you so much for closing the door. Thank you. And I was like, you're good, man. Like, what happened? He's like, bro, I was walking home from work. Like, I was just minding my business. I had my headphones in. And this fucking dude, he runs up behind me and he sucker punches me. And they try to steal my shit. And I started running and I ran and I ran. And I ran down this parking lot. And you were there to open the door, dude. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was like, bro, you're good. You're good. Like, anytime. Like, they just attacked you? He's like, yeah, bro. Like, I was just walking and I got fucking hit. And then I turned and there's all these guys trying to rob my ass. And I started running, bro. And I was like, holy shit. And I believe the dude, because like I said, the area that I was in, it was not very safe. And I had heard of that happening before. I had friends that had that happen to them. Like I said, shit is real. So I believed him. And I felt so bad for this dude. Like, clearly, he was looking pretty banged up and he was pretty fucking scared. So I was like, all right, bro, follow me. Let's go upstairs. I'll take you to where my studio is. You can chill there on the couch, call up a friend of yours, give you a ride or something. If you can't find someone, I'll get you an Uber. He's like, all right, bro, thank you. So I lead him upstairs to where my studio was. I have him chill on my couch, my little studio couch, and I lock that door, make sure he's safe in there, and then I go back down to where the main entrance is of the building, and those guys are still banging on the door, still trying to get into the building. They're freaking out. And meanwhile, my DoorDash driver keeps calling me. So I thought, okay, one thing at a time. Let me answer the DoorDash driver first. So I answer the DoorDash driver, right? I was like, hello? He's like, hey, man, like, I've been trying to call you. I found your building. I'm outside. You want to come get it? And I was like, yeah, man, you know what? I think it's a good idea if you just take it. Like, I'm not going to get the food. You can just take it and go home. He's like, you don't want your food? I was like, well, I really do, but there's a bunch of guys banging at the front door of the building, the same front door I have to walk through to get the food. So if I come out there to get the food, I run the risk of getting robbed because apparently they just robbed this other guy that I let in, and I don't know. I don't trust them, so I'm not going to come out there and risk getting robbed. And this driver understood. He was like, yeah, like, I see them. They keep knocking, keep trying to get let in. I see them right now from my car. Do you want me to call the police? And I was like, I'll handle it, man. Don't worry. He's like, okay, cool. So he hangs up, and I go back upstairs. I go into the room. That dude's sitting on the couch still, trying to call some friends to get a ride. The guy that got jumped and robbed. And I was like, bro, they're still out there. Like, they're just trying to get in. Should I call the cops for you? You want me to call the police? He's like, nah, bro, it's fine. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, man, I'm not trying to, like, get in trouble with the cops too. And I was like, what do you mean get in trouble with the cops? Like, if they hit you first and they tried to rob you, they're getting in trouble, bro, not you. He's like, nah, man, you don't get it. Like, I have a warrant. And I was like, you have a warrant? For what? Because obviously that could mean a couple things. That could mean something really, really bad that he did, like a bad crime, or it could mean something not so bad. Obviously, all crime is crime and it's illegal regardless, but like, there's some crime that's a lot scarier to me than others. Like, I don't want to have a murderer in my studio. So I asked him what the warrant was for. And he told me with no hesitation. He's like, bro, I'm embarrassed to say this, but like, I was tight on money and I couldn't pay a ticket. So like, I didn't pay it. I bailed on court, and yeah, they put a warrant out for my arrest. So yeah, this dude, he didn't pay a ticket. I think it was a speeding ticket or something. So they put a warrant out for his arrest, and he didn't want the cops to come because then they'd see his warrant and he'd go to jail and his night would be even worse. So I'm standing there like, all right, then what do we do, man? Like, if I can't call the police to help get those guys out of here and you can't leave, like, what, you're just going to sit here all night? Like, we can't do that. Like, we got to get you out of here safely. And he's like, well, I don't know, man. No one's picking up the phone either. Like, I can't find a ride. And I was like, all right, man, let me do some brainstorming. So I walked out into the hallway. I then went back downstairs to like the main entrance of the building, and those guys were still out there, still pounding on the door, still screaming to let them in. They were very persistent. And I was like, all right, I got to start thinking of how to get this guy out of here safely. So I walk around to the very back of the building. Usually I wouldn't even go over there because there's nothing over there for me. The bathrooms and the studio rooms and stuff were all in the front of the building. So the back is probably all like office space or something. But I started exploring. And in the back of the building, I found a back emergency exit. So I thought, okay, that's where he'll leave because those guys aren't over there. So I went back upstairs and I was like, hey man, I found an exit you can leave out of. I'll call an Uber. The Uber will pull up right to that exit. I'll have them do it. And then I'll open the door for you. You just get right in the car and you leave. He's like, okay, man, sounds good. So I get on my phone. I order the Uber. The first Uber that pulled up, for some reason, could not find that back like emergency exit door. So he just like canceled the ride and he left. So I had to call another Uber. And then this guy finally pulls up. He also like immediately found that back like emergency exit door I was talking about. And he messaged me and he's like, yeah, I'm outside. So now it was go time. It was time for me to, escort this dude down the stairs to that back exit. It was time for me to open the door, have him get in the Uber, and then pull off into safety. Well, things didn't go quite as expected. So, yeah, we leave my studio, right? We go down the stairs. I still heard those guys pounding at the front door, so they were still there. So that was perfect. That meant the back door was, clear. They weren't over there. And I walked the guy to the back exit. And I was like, all right, man, here you go. I'm going to open this up. You go right to that car. You get in and you guys leave. And he goes, all right, man, thank you for your help, bro. Like, seriously, you're a real one. If it wasn't for you, I'd probably be getting my ass kicked right now. And I was like, dude, anytime. Like, for real, anytime. And I go to open the door. And when I do, some things happen. Some things that I didn't want to happen. So I open the door, right? And I look to my left and right to make sure, the coast is clear. And I see all 5 of the dudes coming around the backside of the building, running at the door. They saw me opening it. They saw the car. They must have known what was going on, that we were trying to sneak this dude out of there. And they start running towards the door. And before I could close the door and, keep everyone safe, the guy, the one that was, at risk of being robbed and, beaten up by these guys, he goes for it. He leaves the building and he starts trying to open the back door of the Uber, but it was too late. Those guys were too close. They were coming up on him, and then he noticed it, and instead of running back into the building, he takes a right and he starts running down the alleyway behind the studio building. So this guy is now running, and all 5 of those men are chasing him again, and he's running away from me, away from the Uber, just into this other parking lot with these guys chasing him. And I'm like, oh, shit. Now, I'm very lucky those guys didn't turn their attention to me or the Uber driver, because we could have gotten hurt as well. But it's still not good that they were chasing this other guy, obviously. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. So, yeah, I'm watching them chase the dude. And that dude, man, he was a fast fucking runner. Because immediately he already had a lead on them again. He was running, man. I mean, it's not too surprising because he probably felt like his life was at risk and was probably running for his life. So I'm not surprised he was running so fast. But still, like, the lead he had on them so quick is crazy. But yeah, I watched him run off into the distance, and then like he took a left out of that parking lot and then into some woods. So I just lost sight of him, and those guys chased him into the woods. Now, I didn't know what to do at this point, right? Because it's like, what do I do? Do I call the police and be like, hey, they ran into the woods? And then who knows where they'll be by the time the cops get here, So I look over to the Uber driver, because the Uber driver's still parked there, and he rolls his window down, and he's looking super confused, and he's like, what was that? Is everything okay? I was like, yeah, man, that guy was supposed to get in your car, and we were trying to kind of sneak him out of here because there were some people at the front of the building trying to mess with him and like rob him or something. And unfortunately, they came around the back, and the timing wasn't good, and yeah, they saw everything, and they chased him. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, call the police. And I was like, yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. I'm going to do that. So I called the cops because, like, dude, even though this guy had a warrant for his arrest, him going to jail would be safer for him than getting chased by 5 men all night trying to beat him up and rob him. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure the dude was safe. So I called the cops, and the Uber driver waited with me till the cops got there. And before the cops pulled up, I was talking to the Uber driver. I also apologized to the dude because I kind of involved him. I was like, hey, like, my bad, man. Like, I thought this was a good plan, but I realized that like I probably involved you in a pretty dangerous situation, and I'm sorry for that. He's like, no, man, no. Like I would have did the same thing. And I would have happily drove him out of here if he got in the car, but unfortunately he ran. And I was like, yeah, man, well, thank you for understanding. He was very cool about it, which is, very nice of him. But anyway, the cops pulled up not long after that, and I told them everything. I told them, like, what happened. And they went into those woods, and they looked, but exactly what I said earlier, man. By the time the cops got there, those guys were long gone. They went to the woods, and there was nothing there. There was no trace of anybody. There was no people fighting. There was no anything, So the cops came back, and I talked to them a little bit more. And they said they'd keep looking around, but, all in all, they didn't see anything. And they looked around a little bit more after that. And after about 20 minutes of being there, they were like, all right, well, there's no one here. We'll keep looking around the area, but if you see anything, just call us back. And I was like, okay. So after this, the whole rest of that night, I was just at the studio, and I could barely make music because I just kept looking out the windows, like seeing if I could see anything. I kept trying to look around and make sure like I didn't see anything because I wanted to know if that dude was safe. I was worried about him. But unfortunately, the whole rest of that night, I didn't see anything at all. And I thought, damn, man, like I really hope that guy's okay. And I'll probably never find out if he is or not because they're gone. So after about 2 hours more, I left the studio. I went home and I kind of gave up. I thought, okay, like I'll probably never see those guys again. I'll probably never see that dude again. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he escaped. Hopefully those guys didn't get him and hurt him. And I kind of gave up, right? I truly thought that was the end of it. I thought, that's it, I'll never see that dude again. Well, that was until about 3 months later. So 3 months later, okay, I went to the studio very early on this day. Usually, like I said earlier, I'd go at like 9, 10 p.m. or something, and I'd get out at like 4 in the morning. This was different. My sleep schedule around this time, 3 months later, was normal. I was getting up at like 7 a.m. And I woke up pretty early, like I said, around 7 a.m. And I got ready and I went to the studio at about 8 a.m. So yeah, 8 a.m. I get to the studio and kind of the same as that last time. I worked on some music and then I got really hungry and I thought, okay, let me DoorDash something. So this time it was a little bit different. A lot of restaurants were open because it was early in the morning. So I ordered some breakfast place, some bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. And 20 minutes later, I get a text from my DoorDash driver saying that they're pulling up. So I go to the front of the building. I peek out the window, make sure no one's out there, running at the door this time or, anything going crazy. And I see this car out there, the DoorDash driver. And I open the door. I start walking up to the DoorDash driver's car, his driver's side window, so I can get the food. And he rolls his window down and he goes, "What's up, man? Long time no see." And at first, I didn't recognize this dude. I didn't know what he was saying. I didn't know how he knew me. But then when I took a real good look at his face after like 5 seconds, it all clicked. And I realized this was the man that just 3 months ago was running through that same parking lot being chased by 5 dudes who were trying to hurt him. He was in the same parking lot. This time, it's during the day. He's in a car and he's door dashing. And I was like, holy shit, dude, what's up? And he gets out of the car and he like daps me up. He's like, what's up, man? He like gives me a hug. And I was like, bro, are you okay? Like, I worried for fucking months, bro. I was hoping like every day that you were good. Like, dude, I called the cops that night because I was so worried about you, bro. Like, I want to make sure you were safe. And he's like, bro, dude, I ran for a good like 2 miles, man. They just chased me and chased me and chased me. And finally, I outran them. And I was like, bro, you should be in the fucking Olympics. Your stamina and how fast you were, crazy. He's like, I appreciate that. He's like, bro, but yeah, I was good. I got away from them. They didn't hurt me, at least not any more than they already did. And I was good, man. I got away. And I was like, bro, I'm so happy to hear that. He's like, dude, again, thank you for that night, bro. Like, you saved my ass. I was like, yeah, not completely though, bro. I kind of failed you at the end. He's like, bro, that wasn't your fault. I shouldn't have ran. I should have just had you close the door and I should have just stayed in the building. And I was like, nah, bro, you were worried, man. Like, I don't blame you. And he's like, yeah, either way, man, it all worked out. And I was like, bro, I can't believe I'm seeing you right now, like in the flesh. He's like, yeah, man, like shit's been going good, dude. Like I got a car, as you can see. I'm door dashing now. I quit that other job. And when I got this order and I pulled into this parking lot, I thought, dude, it has to be him. It's got to be you. And it is. I'm stoked to see you. I'm like, bro, you too. And it was a really cool kind of full circle moment, right? He also told me he got that warrant taken care of. So I guess he like went and dealt with it and paid the fines and stuff. And I didn't really ask for too much details on that, but he did say it was taken care of. So good for him. Yeah, it seemed like this dude's luck was really turning around. So I was very happy for him. And yeah, we talked for a little bit. He told me at the end that it was nice to come back to this place and see it in the day and not have people chasing him. And he said it was nice to see me on different circumstances than the first time. So I agreed there. But all in all, dude, like crazy full circle, like just conclusion to this story, right? Like just wild. But all in all, he was okay. He was safe. He got away that night. Like I said earlier in the night, they did, land a punch on him, but it could have been worse. They could have kept hitting him and stuff. So he got away. But yeah, he was good. I got to see him months later and kind of make sure he was good. And all in all, everybody was okay. And that's what's important. Now, I ended up moving out of that studio space not too long after this because I was sick of that shit. I did not want to have any more things like that happen again. And I'm proud to report that my current studio space, my current studio where I make music, is in a much nicer and safer area. But yeah, guys, that leads me to moral of the story is, if you're ever going to rent an apartment or a studio or a house or just anything, make sure you check the area out first. I went in blind. I just rented this place thinking like, oh, it'll be fine. I didn't really do any research. And if I had done my research, I would have realized that it probably wouldn't be the greatest idea to rent that place. So yeah, before you ever get somewhere and commit to a rental or a buying of a property, make sure you research the area first. And also, I doubt this will ever happen to any of you guys, but if anything like this ever happens to you guys, please just call the police. Just call the cops right away. Don't wait like I did. But yeah, guys, that's the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.